us.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'm concerned because I think there's been a good deal of misunderstanding about the nature of the current law and also what this law will actually affect and what true effect it will have if it is adopted as we have it before us today. As I mentioned earlier when we considered this on second, I am a strong supporter of riparian buffers and actually instituted them in my own township 20-some years ago. So I believe in the restorative powers of riparian buffers. But I would like to correct a few misunderstandings about the conditions as they exist today. First of all, in these exceptional and high-quality streams, it is not true that every length of the stream is currently fully forested. There are many places where there are already intrusions into the buffered area of 150 feet on the edge of the bank. In fact, there may be places in the stream where there is essentially concrete from the edge of the stream 150 feet away from that edge. If someone proposes to put a building or otherwise intrude on that section of stream, if we were not to allow for waivers, then that would be restricted. If we are to allow for waivers and best management practices, it's possible to actually tear up that 150 feet of concrete, maybe have the building intrude by 5 feet, and plant trees, bushes, shrubs, and other vegetation that will substantially improve the quality of the stream. Now, we currently have a regulation, not a law, asking for the 150-foot buffer. That regulation has been broadly interpreted to allow for waivers currently, but we do not have any standards for the waivers. So, if this law were to be proposed, we now would have some standards. Standard number one, that if you disturb or interfere with a 150-foot buffer, you must reestablish a similar buffer. Standard number two, you must do that as close as possible to the area of disturbance. This is important because it has a different effect depending on where you have a buffer internally within a stream watershed. And it's actually much more important to have those buffers, particularly in the upper reaches of the stream, than perhaps down closer to the stem. So it's important that that standard be applied. Those standards are not currently in law. We would add those standards, and that would be a real plus. Now, there is a limitation so that currently under the national NPDES standards that areas under an acre are not handled by a full permit, but under a general permit. So there's been some concern about intrusions and disturbances that are less than an acre. However, regardless of whether this bill is passed or not, there will continue to be requirements to make sure that the stream quality is not degraded. This bill does not repeal the Clean Streams Act. This bill does not repeal any of the standards and requirements that you currently need for erosion and sediment control. And it does not repeal the concept that you may not degrade the waters of the Commonwealth. All of those standards still would be in force. But we do allow some flexibility and now some new standards. Flexibility is absolutely necessary because we can interfere with property rights to the degree that we are making an environmental improvement. However, if someone were to propose an intrusion and provide for a fully protective environmental counterpoint or alternative, and we were simply to hold to the 150-foot buffer regardless, there would be a very good case, from what I understand, to call that a taking and require the Commonwealth to pay the landowner for the value of his property, because there would no longer be a reason to justify environmental protection in that situation. This is misunderstood, unfortunately, by many, but I know that my colleagues here will want to do the right thing and to not be swayed by incomplete or perhaps misunderstood information that's being passed on to them. I would not stand here and support this bill if I did not believe that it was a positive step forward and a reasonable balance to protect the environment and to also deal with people's natural inclinations to try and make the best out of their land. And I therefore support the bill and urge a positive vote.
Question is, shall